Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for January 12, 2024. And in the news this afternoon, police probing double murder in Green Island, Hanover. The police theorize that an ongoing gang conflict led to the fatal shooting of a restaurant operator and a jerk vendor in Green Island, Hanover on Wednesday night. Inspector Nadine Brown of the Hanover Police Division told the news that the men were attacked and shot at a business establishment along the Green Island Main Road about 10 p.m. The deceased are Romaine Jones, otherwise called Juvenile, a 35-year-old business operator and owner of Lobster Smokehouse Restaurant, as well as Ellsworth Foster, otherwise called Bower, a 56-year-old jerk vendor. Both men were from South Spring District in Green Island.
About 10 p.m. on Wednesday, January 10th, 2024, two men were shot and killed by unknown assailants along the Green Island Main Road. They are Romaine Jones, otherwise called Juvenile, a 35-year-old business operator and owner of Lobster Smokehouse Restaurant, as well as Mr. Ellsworth Foster, otherwise called Bower, a 56-year-old jerk vendor, both of Salt Spring District in Green Island, Hanover. The police are following leads at this time, but believe that this incident is a spill-off of the intra-gang conflict that is happening in the 100 Rounds gang operated in Green Island.
She has urged anyone with information on the incident to contact the police. The news was informed that Mr. Jones was the target of the attack and had been purchasing food from the jerk vendor when the shooting occurred. Lead investigator denies concocting stories against Tonya McDonald's alleged killer. The lead investigator in the murder case of Tonya McDonald on Thursday dismissed the suggestions by one of the attorneys representing murder-accused Oscar Barnes that he concocted stories against their client. Attorney Vincent Wellesley made several suggestions to the senior officer at the end of his two-day cross-examination in the Home Circuit Court. Mr. Wellesley suggested to the cop that he charged Mr. Barnes instead of the son of the prosecution's main witness, who was also taken into police custody. Earlier in the trial, the prosecution's main witness, Denvolin Minot, told the court that during one of the attempts to kill Tonya, he, along with his son and a taxi operator, visited the McDonald's dwelling. Mr. Wellesley also suggested to the cop that he did not visit the Crossroads police station where Mr. Barnes was being held. The cop said the only reason he visited the station was to ask Mr. Barnes whether he had an attorney. Earlier in the proceedings, the cop admitted that he took note of what Mr. Barnes told him in his notebook. But Mr. Wellesley told him that he did not collect a statement from Mr. Barnes because the visit never happened and that he concocted a story because he did not have one. The attorney suggested further that his client was innocent then and is still innocent. The cop dismissed the suggestion, saying, "I have evidence. That is why I charged Mr. Barnes, sir." Everton Beach's Stout McDonald and Oscar Barnes are on trial for the July 2020 murder of Mr. McDonald's second wife, Tonya. DPP highlights discrepancies in NEPA and the KSAMC findings in Mark Barnett Housing Development saga. Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn has outlined what she describes as concerning discrepancies in the findings reported by the National Environment and Planning Agency and the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation into breaches at the Charlie Mount Drive housing development owned by National Water Commission President Mark Barnett and his wife. The DPP said the officer from NEPA observed and noted a breach on December 17, 2020. However, 7 days prior, an officer from the KSAMC visited the location and determined that the building structure was compliant with the plans approved by the local authority. She said the disparity between the two agencies cannot be overlooked, adding that actions of public officials performing their duties must be beyond reproach to inspire public trust. Ms. Llewellyn added that it is imperative that the actions of the Chief Engineering Officer, including the Senior Building Officer, be assessed by the KSAMC and their parent company. DPP Llewellyn, in her ruling in the Integrity Commission matter, said Mr. Barnett and his wife Annette Francis Barnett cannot be prosecuted for breaching the environmental permit for their development located at 11 Charlemont Drive, Kingston 6, as the time has expired. Ms. Llewellyn said given that a breach was first identified by the National Environment and Planning Agency on December 17, 2020, prosecution should have been initiated by December 17, 2021. Section 37 of the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Act bars the prosecution of any breach after the lapse of 12 months from the date of commission of the alleged breach to when the relevant authority is made aware of the infraction. The DPP said the circumstances highlight the failure of NEPA to act on and escalate the breach of the environmental permit, which barred any sanction being affected consequent upon successful prosecution. Narcy surprised following ruling on Barnett development breaches. Civil society advocate and a member of the Citizens' Rights to the City Network, Carl Narcisse, says she is surprised after Director of Public Prosecutions, Paul Llewellyn, ruled that National Water Commission President Mark Barnett and his wife, Annette Francis Barnett, cannot be prosecuted for breaching the environmental permit for their development located at 11 Charlemont Drive, Kingston 6, as the time has expired. Ms. Llewellyn said given that the breach was first identified by the National Environment and Planning Agency on December 17, 2020, prosecution should have been initiated by December 17, 2021. Section 37 of the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Act bars the prosecution of any breach after the lapse of 12 months from the date of commission of the alleged breach to when the relevant authority is made aware of the infraction. But Ms. Narcisse said members of the Citizens' Rights to the City Network, which represents some 31 citizens associations across Kingston and St. Andrew, have consistently written to the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation and the National Environment and Planning Agency about the development in flagrant breach of building regulations. She added that members of the group in Charlemont, Kingston 6, where Mr. Barnett and his wife are accused of breaching the environment and building permit for their housing development, noted that investigating the matter fell under the remit of the Integrity Commission as it concerned a member of the public sector. Ms. Narcisse said given the efforts by residents of Charlemont to have operations at 11 Charlemont Drive halted by authorities, she is surprised by the outcome. She acknowledged that the DPP's ruling is in alignment with what exists in law, but added that the law is problematic.
The DPP can only make a decision based on what the law provides. So yes, we're all surprised. We all would have loved for the DPP to be able to prosecute the matter, but the DPP has to be guided by the fact that the law under which the matter is to be prosecuted says 1 year. If you don't bring the case in a year, it can't happen. So then it implicates the parliament and parliamentarians that we have as well, because who would write a law like that? It makes no sense, but it makes sense to the people who wrote that into law. It creates an enabling environment in which you can protect the larger breakers of law. It is a common assault that developers are out there with permits that say build 12 and they build 40. Okay, because they know that they will not be held accountable. So NEPA did nothing with the reports that it received saying that the development is in breach. The NEPA knows that the NRCA Act has a 1-year statute of limitation, after which you can't prosecute nobody. But they drag their feet, they do nothing, they twiddle their thumbs, they get report after report. Then you have the KCMC,